So I receive a message from BBC World, and they asking me if I can participate in a discussion about this topic, and I was really willing to share my experience because, of course, as a Southeast Asian here in Taiwan, um, I also get labeled to be the nanny of my own kids, and also I sometimes become I also wrote an article about my experience when I was treated as an illegal because I just looked different. And there was also a time in the Philippines wherein there was a customs officer there where he assumed that I was the a wife of a local here in Taiwan, just because I don't know, for some reason that's the assumption.
In Taiwan for 8 years now, and I'm an information developer for I'm an information developer for a multinational company, and now I'm transitioning to become an entrepreneur.
And what type of things have happened to you in a mixed race
Oh, there.
relationship?
Well, I'm not. I'm not currently. I'm not in a mixed race relationship, but my husband is also a Filipino. But I have two kids here, and there was one blog that article that I wrote that mentioned that wherein I shared my experience when there was a Taiwanese lady who was very polite and very kind, and she was initiating the conversation. But afterwards, she told me that I should tell my employer, that they have very cute kids. So at that point, I really didn't know how to react. And that's when I realized, of course, she thought that I was a nanny. And yeah, and of course, there I also have other experiences wherein I was regarded as an illegal here in Taiwan, and also a foreign spouse automatically.
Who is an African American man, and he's a lot darker than our kids. Very rarely does someone ask him if he's the father of my children. They just assume and go with it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. And also, one thing, this is Anne, and one thing that I also have to add is that whenever I get that remark and I feel a bit offended, I am there are some who would tell me that I'm too sensitive and I should just go on with it and just accept that this is
Hmm.
the reality. And sometimes you just don't know how to defend or sometimes correct other people that no, it's not generally, not everybody, not all would be maids and nannies. And so yeah, it's a complicated situation.
Yeah, and
It is.
people
This is
people
Diana.
want, yeah, yeah, sorry, this is Mary. I just want to say people always expect us to laugh it off, and most times I try, but it is something you think about, and it's upsetting. And I think this is why I reacted to a few of the tweets. Usually I won't, but it is something when you have the personal experience, and you raised a child,
Yeah.
and it's
Hmm.
something that it triggers a lot of emotions, because you're sick of it, and you want people to
Yeah.
recognize.
If you ever get suggestions and questions where it's assumed that you're not the mother, that you work for the family, does it get easier with time or does it get more difficult?
Well, for me,
Um,
well, for me, it gets more difficult because your daughter or your child becomes more aware of the reality.
This is
So
Anne speaking.
yes, this is Anne. So for me, because my daughter is 4 years old, and before I used to just shrug it off, but now as my daughter keeps asking questions and tries to make sense of the world, it's for me becoming so such a pressing
Mhm.
issue that I have to acknowledge somehow, and I have to learn how to deal with in the near future. So it gets difficult. It doesn't go away easily, I think.
And
That's right.
yeah, this is
I'm a little
Mary,
tired
and
of
my I
being the
like
one.
Mary, do you
sorry,
want to go?
I was just yeah, I was just gonna say 4 or 5 is it like that's a difficult age, and I think I had that's why I remember this too. My daughter's turning 13, and she has such a good sense of who she is, and I'm so happy that she's biracial, and she even though she looks more like her father, she's proud to say she's Asian too, and that. I think Anne, what you're going through and I went through it. That's a very difficult period, 4 to about 8, because they do ask so many questions, and you're walking down the street, and when people assume you're not the mother and you're the nanny, they'll they'll you have to explain that why people have prejudices. But
And
when they turn 12, 13, it's a great experience. They understand and they're more empathetic, and I think it's a great learning experience that you're going to find when your child's a little older.
yes, that's true.
This is Tin Kim, and I just want to say that I think it's important to talk about race.
Being treated as an illegal and also as a foreign spouse might be somewhat more bearable than being addressed as the nanny in front of your child, because that's what I mentioned in the article that I wrote years back, because you are your daughter is already learning that she is different, and that she will never be like the same. And because she has a mother who's different from the mother of her friends, and who's different from everybody else here. But so I wrote that article because of my frustrations. But it's of course, when I mentioned that, I also had commenters saying that I'm too sensitive. But this is one thing that I wanted to share with other people, and I'm so glad that I was able to connect with other women who are also feeling that way, and who are also affected, because when I wrote that article, there are a lot of comments in Rappler's Facebook page that my article was too sensitive, that I was too sensitive, and that I should just focus on my work, and I shouldn't think of what other people think of me, and that I should just be, just let go and just be brave and walk away. So, these kinds of things, it's really us allowing how other people see us. And of course, the article that I wrote, I didn't dwell on that experience. I made sure that I would rise above it by saying that it's not all locals here, all the locals here in Taiwan generalize Southeast Asia, Filipinas as nannies, because I've had a lot of friends, and I have a lot of friends and co-workers and colleagues and bosses who are so accepting, and who are so accommodating and so polite. But of course, there would also always be another side of it, that there's another group who would who would label Filipinas as nannies, factory workers, and foreign spouses, which is not bad. Which is not. It's This is one thing. It's not because you feel offended that that profession is a bad thing. It's a very decent job, but the problem is it's not you. It's not who you are. Even nannies, they are not all the time nannies. They are people, and they can't be branded. They can't be labeled to just one profession, because that way you're limiting the person to just be that. My takeaway from that interview was that we need to represent. We need to we need to represent that we are a diverse society, that we have different um, people from different professions. We have a lot of people from with different capacities and skills and intellect, and it's something that we have to do so that the world won't just stick to one thing or one stereotype. So yeah, I think this is a challenge, and at the same time it's a wonderful experience that I get to listen to these strong women. And it's very actually it was a very it was more of me learning from that interview than me talking. but but yeah, it was great because I felt that I'm not the only one, and I felt that there are also other people who's taking this seriously. And I also felt that there are more things that we can do. We can't give in to generalizations. Even us, I mean, we're so prejudiced. We're also so biased. I mean, I'm talking about the Filipino race. We also have our own prejudices and our own biases. So we shouldn't be caught in the cycle. We should be aware that we it's a dead end when we stereotype. It's a dead end when we label, and it's seeing the world in one dimension when we do this. So yes, I think it's a learning experience for me, and I'm very grateful for the experience, because I was able to also conquer my fear of talking to people in live sessions, because that's why I vlog. I don't FB live because I'm scared of live audience, if it makes sense. But yeah, it was a good learning experience, and thank you. I'm very much thankful for it. Thank you and good night.